Hello and welcome to Goddess Resurrection. My name is Britta and I am your host, and today's episode is on integrating shadow. We will be talking about shadow and how it often is misperceived by the whole concept of focusing on the positive, because that what we focus on magnetizes, right? So there's a contrast here that I want to address. And we're also going to go into an easy practice, a simple way of integrating shadow daily. Before we dive in, hello, my gorgeous sister. Happy New Year. Doesn't it feel great already? I love how this year is feeling. And I'm sure you've felt these vibrations coming in. Yeah, as I had said, right, in the beginning, like just over Christmas and then right over New Year's, the vibrations were coming in so strong, right? I was so tired. All I wanted to do was sleep. And I was just integrating these light frequencies coming in. And my daughter is here and her boyfriend. And everybody was feeling it. We were all talking about it, and they were like, wow, we've just all shifted together. And I was like, I know. And so, it was a very palpable experience. And I hope that you really gave yourself to that so that you rested and relaxed as much as you could. If not, it's never too late. You can still go for it this weekend. It's still trickling in. Now, let's begin. Shadow. We all have it. We all have shadow. Of course, we all have shadow. It doesn't matter how perfect your life has been. You could look back at your childhood. You could look back at your life and say, oh, I had the best childhood. I was so blessed. I feel great. Good for you. That's awesome. That's a blessed life right there. But it doesn't mean you're free from shadow. Nobody is free from shadow. Carl Jung was, of course, as you know, the grandfather of shadow work. He was really the one to talk about it, to expose it, right? That shadow is really what sits in our subconscious. And he described it as it gets stuffed into the subconscious, it gets hidden into the subconscious, it gets forgotten within the subconscious, all of the pain, the trauma, bad experiences, emotional suppression, patterns, subconscious protection, right? And he was also the one who said we have to make the unconscious conscious, because shadow sits there. Shadow is in our subconscious. And remember that in the end, the only reason we are here as souls is for us to learn, grow, heal, evolve, ascend, right? At this point, especially, we're here to ascend. Your soul doesn't care about the money in the bank account. Your soul doesn't care about the car you're driving. Your soul doesn't even care about the process through which we are learning. This is why souls, when they have no other way, they work through the subconscious, and if not listened to, if not acknowledged, the energies that are wanting to come up, that the subconscious keeps bringing into our experience, into our presence, the soul will go to extreme lengths so that we will heal the shadow, so that we will get the message. The soul doesn't care if it comes up with cancer, with an illness, with a car accident. The most important thing is to heal, because we need to heal in order to ascend. Let's dive right into an example, right? So there's this contrast in the spiritual world right now where people are saying, you know, only focus on the positive, only focus on what you want, because what you focus on, that's where your energy goes and that's what grows. And that is, of course, true. But remember, there's always a balance side. There's always a balance side to everything. And I want this example to be the premise for today's subject. So I'm sure you guys all know about Abraham, the teachings of Abraham. Jerry and Esther Hicks was this couple where Esther, the woman, was channeling Abraham, this beautiful entity that was bringing forth, you know, rules and regulations, right? Law of attraction. We like things that are laws, that are rules, that are regulations, right? So they brought forth probably one of the most popular laws by which we can consciously understand how to manifest. Now, Jerry, of course, being involved in promoting positive thinking, being the vibration to attract what it is that you want, focusing onto the positive, shifting thinking to feel better, right? Jerry came down with cancer. Now, Jerry has passed from this cancer, right? And in doing so, of course, he gave us a great gift in the deeper understanding of all of these concepts. Now, Jerry, as he was getting sick, chose to focus on the positive only. By focusing onto the positive only, trying to focus on healing, right? He basically ignored this cancer. He ignored the messaging. He ignored what was it that brought up this cancer? What was it in me that created this? Why is this happening? He did not give it attention, right? And so the reason why he didn't give it attention was because he was choosing to forget his upbringing. He grew up very, very, very poor. So he had a lot of old trauma, old scarcity thinking in him, right? And this was, of course, within his subconscious. And even as he started this path of law of attraction with these channelings, he, in the beginning, was meeting up a lot of resistance. So there were energies within him. There were energies within his subconscious that really needed to be healed, to be cleared. And so he chose to ignore that. He chose to only focus on the positive. And then, of course, these energies that are wanting attention, that keep coming around, because the subconscious will keep bringing around the lessons that we need to learn. The subconscious will keep bringing around the experiences. Same story, different person, for example, right? And so as he was ignoring these energies getting bigger and bigger, then his soul was like, all right, let's see if he'll listen to this. Come on, wake up, face it, you're here to heal this. And, you know, so that's when these energies magnetized and turned into cancer, because that's what the soul will resort to as a last resort. Physical illness, right? Physical imbalance. And unfortunately, or fortunately, right, there's no good or bad. It was just his choice. He chose to not look at the shadow because he was overcommitted to one way only. And, you know, so this is the premise. Blessings, Jerry, right? Esther is, of course, still channeling, and these law of attraction teachings are wonderful, wonderful, but the proof is in the pudding. It is very important to always understand that we cannot focus onto what we want only when our subconscious and our environment keeps bringing around the things that are obviously there to get our attention, right? So understanding that everything is a much bigger picture. Now, we all have shadow. Let me just dive into what is shadow exactly. Shadow is everything that we don't know, right? It's an unconscious. So we still don't know. We might not remember. We may have chosen to forget. We may have pulled up resistance. We may have pulled up walls of protection. We may have developed coping mechanisms to protect our shadow. People that have had very highly traumatic experiences even have complete amnesia, forget completely that trauma. So there are, of course, different levels, always different grades of everything. Some shadow can be very dark. Some shadow can be, very light, easy, something, fast to face and neutralize just by tending to it. So shadow in and of itself is just energy, right? Energy that wants our attention, energy that we on a soul level are committed to heal. And this shadow is what, like I've said, will be brought around. And in the example of Jerry Hicks, he didn't make that connection. He didn't make the connection that as he was beginning to get ill, that it had anything to do with his childhood. And so this is oftentimes the gap, the link, the missing piece for people to actually understand, to make this connection to that when things aren't going in the way that they want to, when we aren't seeing the manifestations, when we aren't, feeling that flow, when we are over and over and over again noticing ourselves, still dealing with addictions, still dealing with fears, still dealing with worries and doubts, still dealing with things such as relationships, right? Like when relationships still keep being like that same old pattern. We might be getting better slowly but surely, but it's still that dissatisfaction. Let's put it that way, right? We know what we want, but there's still something missing, right? So earlier on, I had a client and he was sharing with me about his partner and how now there are so many issues showing up, right? And it is really in him, this client, to understand that he was still choosing from the wrong energy, right? He hadn't yet fully come into his wholeness, into his deepest healing, because only as we heal shadow, only as that then takes us into that wholeness, do we level up in the sense of vibration of our relationships. Meaning, when we still have scarcity, we still have money lack or loss. If we still have issues with love, with, original caretaker, where there was trauma, wounding, we will still continue to have relationships show up that are unfulfilling, unhealthy, maybe even dysfunctional, right? So again, we need to learn to make this connection. We need to learn to understand that everything is a reflection from us. We need to understand that we are in the matrix. This is a hologram, right? We are the device. What's it called again? That device that reflects, the reflector, that really shows us in the reality that shows up for us what we're still needing to heal. And so it doesn't mean we can't focus on the positive as well. Of course, we're going to focus on the positive. Of course, we're going to focus on what we want to manifest. Of course, we're going to focus on trusting the process. Of course, we're here to focus on our light. Of course, we're here to focus on our light embodiment. And that is all part of this balance that this healing journey, this growth process really has to be. Good. Now, one more thing I want to say about shadow and light. Coming back to the concept of that we are light. We are extension of source, soul, beautiful, infinite, eternal being in this body here to play this human character, right? And we have had so many lifetimes, so many lives. And Carl Jung did not touch on other lives. He only stayed in this here and now, referring to childhood trauma, referring to unhealthy patterns that may have been created throughout this lifetime. I am here to just open this up a bit because other lifetimes are completely real and existing, and there's plenty of proof, plenty of evidence out there that show and prove to us how other lifetimes are not only parallel, happening right now, all at the same time, they do affect us in the here and now. And we most of the time see it with children. Of course, I do other lifetime clearing with almost every session. But when we only are looking for proof, quickly just to share, just Google past life. You'll see tons and tons and tons of stories of children remembering the language from another life, or children remembering where they were murdered or where they buried their murder weapon, leading the police to that weapon, for example. There's tons and tons and tons of stories. And generally, it's children remembering these other lives so easily and effortlessly because they're still so clear and so pure, right? They have less of that conditioning that tightens us up, that disconnects us from our inner feminine energy, the portal, right, to our everything, to our vastness. Now, that being said, we are these vast beings. And so think of yourself as this vast being. And I hope you're breathing, by the way. I forgot to mention it in the beginning. But just hearing my voice should be an invitation for you to breathe at this point. I'm going to breathe for you and with you. When we are now looking at the vastness of you, right? You are this vast being, and you have been here hundreds and hundreds of times. And that's you being a young soul, by the way. So here are all these energies from this lifetime that are in your subconscious, and energies from other lifetimes that are in your subconscious. And they all want to be healed. They all want to be neutralized. They all want to be cleared, pulling in through this body, through this current experience as you, the you that you are playing right now. So now we're coming back to the concept of, we understand that we have light and dark, right? It's the yin and the yang. It's what everybody is saying, right? Oh yeah, the dark feminine. Oh yeah, my shadow self. Oh yeah, my dark self, right? So there is now also the understanding of that, yes, we all have light and dark. We are light, but we have darkness, we have shadow. And this is important, so breathe. You, the light that you are, doesn't have darkness. You, the light that you really are, when you are not in a body, when you are home, when you are not in a body and you're in the vastness of the cosmos, just floating around, hanging out, having the best time. You are light. You are not a form. There is no fear. There is no worry. There is no scarcity. There is no illness. There is no lack. There is no not good enough. You just are. You are all the oneness, all the love, all the peace, all the grace when you are in your light. When we are in this body, you being here in this body now, you are aware of that it's not always easy to just be your light. You are aware of that it's not easy to just always feel that flow, that joyous ease and grace, that ability to stay in your peace. And that's because there is shadow. That's because there is shadow not only from this lifetime, but also other lives. And there is patterning, right? That tells you, like old beliefs, for example, that you're separate, that your religion is better than their religion, or that this is better than that, right? These are all these beliefs and patterns that are piled onto the shadow. And so this is why now people are saying, oh yeah, I'm just going to be, my dark self tonight, or I'm going to be my wicked self tonight, or I'm going to be my devilish self tonight, or, oh, I know, that's just my shadow talking, or I know, yeah, don't trigger my shadow. You know what I mean? It's this thing now where people are identifying with their shadow. People are now identifying with their darkness, however it plays out for them. Everybody's got their own set. Everybody's got their own ways. Everybody's got their own energies with it. But the most important thing for you to get out of this video is this. You're not here to stay in your shadow, in your darkness. You're not here to play it out over and over and over again and to identify with it and, stay in that fascination with it. Yes, we have to accept our shadow in order to heal it. Yes, we have to acknowledge it in order to heal it. Yes, we have to identify it in order to heal it. Yes, we have to embrace it in order to integrate it. Yes, but we're here to integrate shadow. And what does integrating shadow really mean? It means that we are working with it. We're massaging it. We're touching it. We're reforming it. We are neutralizing it. We're illuminating it, because as we work with shadow, we, through the understanding, through the wisdom, through the shifting of perspectives, through the forgiveness, through all of this inner healing work, we illuminate the shadow. And that's what ascension is. That's what raising your vibration is. That's what leveling to higher timelines is. That's what feeling peaceful is. That's what you being in your self-love is. That is what you being in your wholeness is about. And here comes the clincher. Yes. Be positive. Focus on what you want. Focus on the highest perspectives. Find that silver lining. Always aim for the most highest perspective and stay in that positive vibration. But Also, be positive about transforming and transmuting and illuminating your shadow. So, not just continuing to play it out and fortifying your shadow, right? Strengthening the shadow, because every time you identify with your shadow and you're just like, yeah, but that's just how I am. Well, that's just who I am. Don't touch my shadow. Don't trigger my shadow. My shadow, that's my shadow. No. Then you just fortify it. Then you get to keep it. Whatever you fight for, you get to keep, right? So pivot yourself. Don't hope for the best. Don't think that shadow is going to go away by itself. And don't think that by you identifying with the shadow and playing it out, you're doing yourself a favor. That all of a sudden you're like the perfect balance of light and dark. And some days you're the light and other days you're the dark. And that's an awesome thing. No, it's not. No, it's not. Because by you fortifying your shadow and by you purposefully and intentionally playing it out, meaning giving it more energy, you're strengthening it. You are claiming it. You are becoming it to deeper and deeper levels. And all of the old darknesses and all of the old shadows from all lifetimes are having a feast, because they're able to move through you and work through you through these old energies that are shadows still, right? Makes sense? So this is not to scare you, but this is just to bring more awareness to you in regard to this subject. I clear entities, I clear demons, I work with really dark stuff, okay? Very dark stuff. I'm not even going to say the names, but what I do know is that we have all had exposure to very, very, very dark energies in other lives. Some in these lives, sure, but we have all had exposure to very dark energies, dark consciousness in other lives. And those consciousnesses, those energies, if not addressed, if not worked with, move through the shadow that is present in the here and now. I hope now it makes a little bit more sense why it is very important to remember that you are light. You are a light being. And you have come here to heal and to grow. And in order for you to heal and to grow, you have to heal your shadow and face your shadow and not play with it and not identify with it and not fortify it. We don't want to resist it either. We now know that that's not a good thing either. We don't want to ignore it either. That's not a good thing. Remember, right, Jerry? So it's this fine line. It's a balance. It's a balancing act between not judging the shadow, right? We don't want to judge it. We don't want to fear it. We don't want to suppress it. We do want to welcome it. We do want to accept it as that this is a part of what we get to work with. But we don't want to lean into it too much either. We don't want to continue to play it out. We don't want to seek it out in order to feel good about having that perfect balance. And that was the old paradigm, right? The old paradigm was growth because of, experience. people usually would shy away from growth. People would usually shy away from going within. People would shy away from going deeper because, you know, they had to really hit rock bottom in order to create change, because change is uncomfortable and people just want to feel good and they chase the feel good, right? So the pleasure pain concept. And, you know, so in the old paradigm, growth was by default. The soul had to pull out the rug from underneath a person in order to get them to grow, in order to look for a better way, a healthier way. Now that we are in this ascension period, now that the vibrations are so high, and if you want to go look it up, Google the Schumann resonance, it's been off the charts, hence the vibrations coming in so powerfully. We are now in this frequency where we want to become our light again, where we want to embody our light while in human form. This is the first time here on earth that we are ascending while in human form. And so it's this urge, it's this desire, that is this awakening that is happening faster and faster now for people to want to go within. And to not only focus on the light and bring in the light and embody the light, but also to face our shadows, to face our fears, to face our scarcities, to face our not good enough, to face our addictions, to face our imbalances, right? These are energies within our subconscious that we must face. And the more that we face them, the more that we work with them, the more that we deal with them, the faster we are embodying light, because that's the process. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. The shadow is taking up space. And when we heal the shadow, when we face the shadow, when we begin to learn from it and understand it and shift our perceptions around it and depersonalizing the experiences and practicing forgiveness onto self or the other, whatever appropriate, this is then when our light, the light that is you, will fill in naturally, immediately, almost automatically, right? So again, it is part of this process, accepting your shadow in order to illuminate it and embody your light. And as we are ascending and as we are embodying our light and as we are becoming more high vibrational and of higher consciousness, fifth dimensional and above, we're going to have less and less shadow, less and less shadow. And we're going to also have less and less desire to go down that path, right? The lighter we are, the easier it is to foresee a bad choice. The lighter we are, the easier it is to foresee the same lesson coming back around. The lighter we are, the easier it is to sense and feel, no, right? That choice. You know your shadow, whatever that choice is. It's about recognizing it and realizing that, okay, not choosing that choice is just the beginning. It's just that first step. These energies will try to push you to make that old choice again and again and again. And when you're weak, when you're having a weak day, they'll probably succeed in pushing you to make that old choice again. So therefore, you must go into your subconscious. You must do shadow work. You must. You can work with a healer. You can work with a shaman. You can, of course, reach out to me. But the deeper shadow work is absolutely necessary. And it's often best to work with somebody who has experience with strong old energies. But let's come to you working with your shadow in the way that I want to suggest to you work with it in an easy way. And that is you understanding that you can do it on a day-to-day basis with yourself. Again, if it's big energies, seek out somebody who can help you with it. But on a day-to-day basis, look at your shadow as bite size and look at your shadow from that positive perspective. Because remember, we're here to do this work. And as the light that you are, you don't have judgment. As the light that you are, you don't have fear. As the light that you are, you don't have shame. As the light that you are, you don't have blame or guilt or any of that, right? That's all just part of this human experience, of this illusion. So for you to look positively to whatever it is, to every experience, including your shadow, it doesn't mean you're gonna jump into it, as I've said, and play it out. No, we don't play out shadow. We embrace it. We look at it positively as opportunity to work with it and take it, and on a day-to-day basis, breathe it loose. Breathe it loose, acknowledge it and breathe it loose on a day-to-day basis. Notice your fear thinking and smile at it and breathe away from it on a day-to-day basis. Notice yourself when you're reaching for some kind of an imbalance and smile at it and breathe through it. On a day-to-day basis, when you're catching yourself being in some kind of low confidence or self-pity, smile at it and breathe through it, remembering and reminding yourself of that. It's not who I am. It's just old shadow. It's just old energy. Because by you doing that on a day-to-day basis, it's a daily practice. For example, I always, on a daily basis, look into myself. I am always in my feminine energy. I am always in self-observation, looking to see the parts of me, looking to find the parts of me, looking to hear the parts of me that are feeling edgy or feeling lost or feeling afraid or feeling unloved or feeling lost or feeling unsure, right? And so whatever these parts are, whatever these emotional patterns are, whatever those thought patterns are, those are shadow as well. See, shadow does not only live in the subconscious. Shadow shows itself by the way you're thinking. Shadow shows itself by the way you're feeling. Shadow shows itself by what you're craving. Shadow shows itself by what you are experiencing within your body. So to just, be present to it and work with it, bite size, day to day, every day, be in self-observation, working with it actively, consciously, lovingly, right? Be your light, be that positive perception, that positive filter through which you see it all as yet another golden opportunity to not give into the guilt, to not give into the judgment, to not give into the fear, to not give into the survival mode, to not give into the stress, to not give into, right, whatever addiction wants to pop up right now, to not give into, feeling separate from others and making yourself better or less than, right? It's all ego. So to be in this observation every day is going to take you so far, and it will help in clearing the bigger energies underneath it, right? So remember who you are, and that shadow itself has no power over you. The more you face it, the more you want to self-observe, the more you want to be present and identify it with a smile on your face and go, oh, you're shadow. I never thought of you as shadow. Oh, this is shadow. Oh, look at me. Okay, I am aware of more of my shadow. Awesome. Breathe into it. Breathe your light into it. Breathe your love into it. It doesn't mean you're going to become it. You're illuminating it. Only love heals. And then if you can, breathe with it even more. Feel into it even more. See what it wants to tell you. Maybe if there's more information necessary for you to acknowledge, then it'll take you into a memory of your childhood. It'll take you into a memory of your first heartbreak. It'll take you into a memory of your first loss. It'll take you into a memory of a first insecurity or self-shame, right? Like we all have these markers. But whether it takes you there or not is irrelevant. You stay in your light. You stay in your love. You stay in that positivity about being in charge and naturally fearless. You are fearless as the light that you really are. You have come here to transform and ascend. You have come here, and with every time that you identify even the smallest sliver of shadow, could be a little doubting thought. That's a sliver of shadow. So with every time that you can call it out lovingly as a sliver of your shadow, and you can say, oh, I'm not going to do that anymore, but I love you and thank you. The more you are owning your light and your true power as source, as creator, as goddess, as she who holds the cosmos, as infinite, eternal power and creator incarnate. You're not scared of a little shadow. You're not afraid. There is no such thing as fear. It exists here on earth, sure, but nowhere in your true self are you fear. So don't fortify it. Don't fear it. Work with it fearlessly, lovingly, which will only empower you and bring in higher frequencies and even higher frequencies of your light, opening you to holding more and more light, opening you to being more and more love, opening you to owning your true self. Powerful beyond measure, bite sizes, day by day, self-observation. Always be in observation from here on out, because child, it's going to make the difference between you living in fifth dimension and above, or suffering in disconnect. Okay? Good. Thank you for your energy, for your time, for your presence. Thank you for your beautiful, beautiful, beautiful light that you are shining onto this planet, that you are anchoring onto this plane at this time. And from here, with so much love and so much gratitude, love and light blessings to you and yours. Ciao for now.